Welcome to the 5-Minute Murder Podcast from 5minutemurder.com, where every week we take a look at a murder, a murderer, a serial killer, or an assassination in about 5 minutes. Episode 10. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy remains one of the most notorious and chilling figures in the annals of criminal history. His name has become synonymous with the image of the charismatic, intelligent, and highly manipulative serial killer, whose crimes shocked the world and continue to haunt the public consciousness. Bundy's story is one of deception, brutality, and the dark potential that can lie hidden behind a seemingly benign facade. His ability to elude capture for years, coupled with the sheer number of his victims, has made him a figure of enduring fascination and horror. Theodore Robert Bundy was born on the 24th of November 1946 in Burlington, Vermont. His early life was marked by confusion and secrecy. Bundy was born to an unmarried mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell, and was initially raised by his grandparents, who passed him off as their own child to avoid the stigma of illegitimacy. For much of his childhood, Bundy believed his mother to be his sister, a revelation that would later add to the complex psychological profile of a man who would go on to commit unspeakable acts. Bundy's early years were relatively unremarkable. He was described as a bright and well-behaved child, though he exhibited early signs of social awkwardness and difficulty forming relationships. Despite these early indicators, Bundy managed to lead a seemingly normal life, excelling academically, and even earning a degree in psychology from the University of Washington. His charm and good looks allowed him to blend into society with ease, masking the deep-seated darkness that would later emerge. Bundy's crimes began in earnest in the mid-1970s, though it is suspected that his first murders may have occurred earlier. His method was both calculated and brutal. Bundy would typically approach his victims, most of whom were young women, using his charm and good looks to gain their trust. He often posed as an injured or disabled person, wearing a cast or using crutches to appear vulnerable and elicit sympathy. Once he had lured his victim into his car, Bundy would incapacitate them, usually by striking them with a blunt object, before driving them to a secluded location where he would rape and murder them. One of Bundy's most horrifying traits was his ability to dissociate from his crimes, often returning to the bodies of his victims days, or even weeks, later to perform acts of necrophilia. This gruesome behavior highlighted the depths of his depravity and his complete lack of empathy for the young women whose lives he so callously ended. Bundy's ability to compartmentalize his actions, coupled with his meticulous approach to covering his tracks, allowed him to evade capture for several years. The scale of Bundy's crimes is staggering. He is believed to have killed at least 30 women across multiple states, though the true number of his victims may never be known. Bundy's killing spree spanned the United States, with murders reported in Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, Idaho, and Florida. His ability to operate across state lines, combined with the lack of communication and coordination between law enforcement agencies at the time, meant that Bundy was able to continue his killing spree virtually unchecked. Bundy's charm and intelligence also played a significant role in his ability to avoid capture. He was a master manipulator, capable of convincing those around him, including law enforcement officers, of his innocence. This was exemplified during his time in custody, where Bundy, representing himself in court, managed to escape from jail not once, but twice. His first escape occurred in June 1977, when he jumped out of a courthouse window during a recess. After several days on the run, he was recaptured, only to escape again in December of the same year by crawling through a hole in the ceiling of his cell. These escapes further fueled the media frenzy surrounding Bundy and added to his notoriety. Bundy's final spree of murders occurred in Florida, where he was eventually captured for the last time in February 1978. Among his most heinous crimes during this period was the brutal attack on 4 female students at the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. In the early hours of the 15th of January, 1978, Bundy broke into the sorority house and viciously attacked the women with a club, killing 2 and severely injuring the others. The sheer brutality of the attack shocked the nation and marked the beginning of the end for Bundy. Bundy's capture in Florida led to his trial and eventual conviction for the murders at the Chi Omega house. The trial was a media spectacle, with Bundy's charisma and his decision to represent himself in court garnering widespread attention. Despite his attempts to charm the jury and discredit the evidence against him, Bundy was found guilty and sentenced to death. Over the years, he would be convicted of additional murders, and the weight of evidence against him became overwhelming. In the years leading up to his execution, Bundy continued to manipulate those around him, using his knowledge of undiscovered bodies as a bargaining chip to delay his death sentence. He provided detailed confessions to numerous murders, though some believe that Bundy may have embellished or fabricated details in an attempt to prolong his life. Ultimately, Bundy's attempts to evade justice failed, and he was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison on the 24th of January, 1989. Ted Bundy's legacy is one of horror and fascination. He was not the first serial killer, nor was he the most prolific, but his combination of charm, intelligence, and brutality has left an indelible mark on the public psyche. Bundy's crimes exposed the vulnerabilities in the law enforcement system of the time and led to significant changes in how serial crimes are investigated and prosecuted. His case also highlighted the dangers of underestimating individuals who appear outwardly normal but harbor deep-seated psychopathic tendencies. In the decades since his execution, Bundy has remained a subject of intense interest, with numerous books, documentaries, and films exploring his life and crimes. His ability to mask his true nature behind a veneer of respectability continues to serve as a chilling reminder of the potential for evil that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary individuals. Ted Bundy's story is one of deception, violence, and the relentless pursuit of power over others, making him one of the most notorious criminals in history. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Murder podcast from 5minutemurder.com. If you get a chance, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, as it will help us to grow. Also, why not check out our other 5-minute podcasts, 5-Minute Biographies, 5-Minute History, and 5-Minute Mysteries. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.